Did CJ Stroud actually have a sophomore slump? Peyton Manning says the quiet thing out loud. Everybody calm down. CJ Stroud is going to be all right. And is there a Kevin Durant-esque type of trade the Houston Texans can make during the year to get themselves over the hump and compete for a championship? Stay locked in on today's Locked On Texans.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, welcome to today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast from H-Town to your town. Today's show and every show is for Texan fans all around. Don't matter if you're from the South. Don't matter if you're living in the Midwest right now. If you're a Texan fan, you need to be locked in on the Locked On Texans podcast with me, your Texans host, your football analyst, your credential media member, John Hickman. And in today's show, we look at a few things, man. We're going into the weekend. It's Friday. Right, we're gonna have a good time just chopping up and watching and talking football. Excuse me. But DeMeco Ryans disrespect, is he not a top 10 coach in the NFL? I saw a list that didn't have him on there. We'll close out with that. Is there a Texans version of the KD trade? The Houston Rockets traded for KD, and they believe that that's going to be the move to get them over the hump. What some people may classify the Houston Texans offseason as lackluster. Is there a move that the Houston Texans can make in season that could get them over the hump? And did CJ Stroud actually have a sophomore slump? We'll dive into that on today's show. Before I want to kick it off, we're letting you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, did CJ Stroud actually have a sophomore slump? I'm super excited to get back talking with you guys. It's been a few days. I hadn't been on Talking Texans since the Tuesday squad show. And so I'm looking around and I see a video of Peyton Manning at the Fanatics Fest. Huge thing in sports. It's going on over the last week. Peyton Manning essentially said, hey, guys, give him some credit. Give him some credit. CJ Stroud did some good things in his second year. He mentioned that it took himself, Peyton Manning, a while to actually get to the playoffs. CJ Stroud did it in his first 2 seasons. And before I get started, I wanted to look at some of the things that CJ Stroud accomplished in 2024. Rare and impressive list. He's on that rare and impressive list of NFL quarterbacks who won at least one playoff game in their first 2 seasons in the league. And again, it's only about 6 or 7 quarterbacks on that list. Still won the division, still won a playoff game, throwing for 282 yards, nearly a 68 completion percentage. By the way, CJ Stroud was sacked 11 times in those 2 playoff games. I just want to throw that out there to let you guys know what CJ had to work with in 2024. Still improved and grew into his leadership role while being pressured 175 times. Still top 10 in passing first downs during 2024 regular season, pressured 175 times, and still did everything that he possibly could to keep drives alive. I mean, without CJ Stroud, you kind of wonder, like, hey, man, what would the Houston Texans offense look like? And that's also considering that they were out. Well, they were without Nico Collins for about 5 games, without Stephon Diggs for the second half of the year, Tank Dell in and out, and then we lose Tank Dell at the end of the season. Pressured 175 times, still top 10 in passing first downs, despite ranking top 10 in the NFL in drop passes. CJ Stroud still had a very decent, I would say, good year. The expectations made his sophomore year look a little bit, I would say, maybe less favorable than what most people wanted to see. And I get it. By a lot of metrics and numbers, CJ had a down year. And in some ways he did. Like, you can use the eye test or you can use the stats test. CJ didn't have the type of year that his rookie year that he had with his rookie year. But I think people looked at those numbers being down as an indicator that maybe the impact he had on the game for the Texans might have not been as impactful as his rookie year. And I'm here to tell you, imagine if any of the other quarterbacks on the roster had to carry and lift the 2024 offense with bad interior offensive line play, where most of the pressures and sacks came from, with bad communication from the field and the sideline. Like, there was so much going on. And I'm not here to cap for CJ Stroud, though I am on record saying that I believe that CJ Stroud will be one of the better younger quarterbacks and one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL once his time gets here. 2024 was one of those years where you can point the blame in a lot of different directions. Now, again, being fair of a player doesn't absolve that player of criticism. You know, one thing that I want to see from CJ Stroud this upcoming year, would love to see CJ touch 30 touchdowns. Would love to see 30. Would love for 7 to get 30. What's going to help, of course, is a more competent offense that won't limit the quarterback, that won't limit the offense. Because when CJ was in the red zone, he was a damn good quarterback, and the numbers show it. Threw 15 touchdowns in the red zone, 0 interceptions. Was also the league leader in sacks in the red zone with 9. Like, I mean, bad play calling led to Houston converting 49.1% of their red zone trips into touchdowns, ranking 26 out of 32 teams. Nick Caley, your job is to get that number to league average or better. So, like, when we look at 2024, and we can be critical of CJ Stroud, and I think that's fair when we judge great quarterbacks. No great quarterback went without criticism. But 15 touchdowns in the red zone, 0 interceptions, was ranked 26 out of 32 converting in the red zone. Those trips, they got down there. A lot of times they play behind the sticks. You guys know, tell me in the comments if you remember specific plays or downs and games where they get behind the sticks on first down, try to fight back a little bit on second down. It's third and long, can't convert. Kaimi Fairbairn walking out on that field. They were ranked 26 out of 32 teams in the NFL red zone trips turning into touchdowns. So, like, CJ is going to be all right. And the job of Nick Caley is to make sure that he's going to be all right. We want to get down to the red zone. We want to put our quarterback in situations where we trust him to go out there, score touchdowns, and not give the ball over. And with a week 6 bye, if the offense isn't working for the Texans, they could very well explore a Kevin Durant type of trade to bring in an offensive player that, no matter the offensive issues, will be a threat and a weapon CJ Stroud can benefit from playing with. Who could that be? Stay locked in on today's Locked On Texans podcast. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue, kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right and ready, and it's time to get warm. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on their website. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Don't get sidetracked. Rougiette Ready will get you ready. Head to rougiette.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off. That is RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL. Use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, the Friday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. There's been a lot happening in the Texans Twitter world, but it's also been a lot happening in the Houston sports world. Houston Rockets traded for Kevin Durant. And on the Squad Show, we got to talking about, this is on Tuesday, is there a Kevin Durant type of move out there the Houston Texans could possibly make? Now, please, you guys let me know if there's a player that you feel like with the draft capital that the Houston Texans have, the salary cap options that may be out there as well, but the affordability of a player. If there's a player out there in the NFL world that you absolutely think, hey, man, by week 6, going into their bye week, if it ain't working out for the Houston Texans, they should explore a trade for. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on social media as well at John_Hickman12. But they got me thinking. Like, okay, what's the move out there? Now, this move is a just-in-case move. Like, some people may feel like the Houston Texans should not really overextend themselves given what's coming up in the near future. 2 major contracts that we are expecting from CJ Stroud on one side, Will Anderson on the other side. There's no denying the Texans are in that championship window mode, and Houston could very well find themselves in a position where they need to go get that for sure star power player to get them over the hump to get a chance to make the Super Bowl. At first, I thought to myself, Tyreek Hill. 2 first-round picks, at least 2 first-round picks. This is what Miami's general manager, Chris Grier, indicated. They only consider trading Tyreek Hill, who's on the other side of 30, but 2 first-round picks. Hill's 2025 cap hit is between $28-29 million. Now I'm like, that'd be too much. So next, I was like, let's explore maybe a little bit more reasonable trade. And then I thought about George Kittle, realistic option offered. Was doing some digging around, a high second-round pick for the Houston Texans, who, what they've shown in the last couple of seasons, they're picking at 24. Maybe a first rounder. That may be too much for Greg Kittle at this point in his career. But a high second-round pick. Kittle is signed through 2026. Any team trading for Kittle would need to have $14 million in 2025, $15 in 2026. Now, granted, a move wouldn't be made until midway through the season. And George Kittle may be like a real pipe dream. Like, he may not want to leave. San Fran may not want him to leave. But the $14 million in 2025, that will be cut down because by that time, San Fran would have paid some of that salary. So, okay, maybe Houston can explore that trade, given the state of the tight end bunch, right? We all have question marks surrounding Dalton Schultz and things like his blocking ability. Will he be committed? Will he engage for 17 games? His effort on the field at times. George Kittle, you wouldn't have to worry about that at all. And Kittle would also be a huge upgrade for that room and would be major for Cade Stover. I kind of was shocked we didn't see a young tight end for the Houston Texans at the tight end U, but Kittle could be huge for Cade Stover and down the line, but would be an immediate impact player for the Houston Texans. He's also a player that has been to the Super Bowl a couple of times. So, like Kittle, I like that. But then I thought to myself, let's find an option for the Texans that would be more feasible, not cost as much. And I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but a few years ago, this young man bust out on the scene, 1,000 yards in his rookie year. And then after that, the team just forgot how to get him the ball. But if we take a trip to Atlanta, Kyle Pitts could fit into this offense and would not cost the Texans too much. Trading for Kyle Pitts will likely involve sending a package of a draft pick, potentially including mid to high second round pick, maybe later. And then they can probably get busy with a 2027 draft pick. But Pitts right now is playing on his 5th-year option, carries a little bit over $10 million. He will become a free agent in 2026. Texans have 8 picks in the 2026 draft, including 2 2s and 2 4s. This is where it gets to be interesting in the conversation. What's too much for Houston? Because granted, for Houston, on their big board of players that they would like that are not on the team, I wonder if they have those conversations. We really like this player. Let's see if we can explore and move for him the following offseason, which kind of plays into why we saw a lackluster offseason this year for the Houston Texans. So maybe when I mention a name like Kyle Pitts, is that a player where it's kind of like we like him, we think that, offensively he could do some good things, but is it worth trading for? Is he worth trading for in 2025? Or just a player around the league? For the Houston Texans, I think it's going to be very important for them to have a list between 15 to 20 guys around the league on both sides of the ball, combined of both sides of the ball, that they feel, okay, you know what, we need to keep an eye on this situation. Miami is also a place where it just looks like it's falling down fast. It's falling down. It's crumbling fast in Miami. They were cool. Mike McDaniels, he was cool and everything. Tyreek Hill, back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. But with Tua not showing that he can stay healthy or play well in cold weather games, the amount of rumored noise coming out of that locker room over the past couple of weeks, it just seems like they are on a fast track to divorce. But Tyreek Hill's salary is entirely too much. And it wouldn't be smart to take on Tyreek Hill's salary because I'm sure he's going to want a new deal once he gets traded. So you can look at an extension. That would put Houston with a lot of major contracts on the books, with a couple of major contracts coming up. So I'm going to rule out Tyreek Hill for the Houston Texans. But I do think a more obvious in a deal that would be easier to get done would be calling Atlanta to see what they want for the future in a draft, and maybe looking at bringing in Kyle Pitts. Athletically, he's gifted. He just needs a quarterback that can get him the ball. And I think what Kyle Pitts is missing is also what CJ Stroud is missing. Just a mover out there, somebody that can scoop at the tight end position. Brevin Jordan, 4.4, 4.5 speed. He can move out there, but he isn't as athletically gifted as Kyle Pitts. And he'd be a cheaper option. He'd be a cheaper deal. Love George Kittle in that idea. But for the Houston Texans, again, looking at a Texans version of the KD trade, looking at that, I think for a team that may be operating in a championship window like they haven't since the 2011, 2012, around that time, you don't want to get back to the same spot and fall victim to what held you back the previous 2 times. This is the year that I believe, and I've seen some comments where it's kind of like guys are ducking and dodging it. This is the year I believe the Houston Texans should be putting themselves in an AFC championship game. Every other team in the division has done it since the birth of the Houston Texans in 2001, 2002. It's time for Houston to do that. And this is probably one of those seasons where, because of all of the newness, keeping your options open and looking out there, scouting the market, it's probably going to be one of those years where you need to make sure that there's guys out there that I'm going to call a check on him because he can get us over the hump. Now, it's not just skill players. Again, that one thing that I mentioned on the squad show, it's hard to find a team mid-season to trade you a good guard. Good guards are held on to. They hug them tight. They don't want you to go. Stay here. But a skill player is weird because I do think we got question marks. Like, again, 2 rookies out there banking on the health of Christian Kirk. Again, and this is probably why I was so adamant on a tight end, scouting for a tight end out there. where does Dalton Schultz fit with the future, with the Houston Texans, their future plans. So exploring all options that will be out there for the Houston Texans. Is there a KD trade the Houston Texans can make? I think so. We'll see how the Houston Texans address this team throughout the season. As each year, Nick Caserio's here, they brought somebody in, practice squad them, and they eventually played for the Houston Texans. Before we close out, DeMeco Ryans disrespect. He ain't top 10. More Locked On Texans. However, Houston Texan fans, this show was brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is our trusted partner. Maybe you've been in those situations where you decided at the last minute you wanted to head to a ball game with some family and friends. Maybe it's game day, and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab the last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come out with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually go down closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying tickets, especially for you last-minuters. Game Time takes stress out of your life. Take the guesswork out of your life. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you for making the Locked On Texans your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Scouting. As we talk about the Houston Texans making it a point to scout the league, and training camp getting closer, right? It's about to get fun. Football is cranking back up in about a month. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. So while the Houston Texans are scouting, you can scout too. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Before closing out today's episode, I got to talk about this list. I have to talk about this list, guys. And it's funny. The PFF list I'll get to, and shout out to my guys over at PFF. Do some great work. Dalton Wasserman and those guys. It's funny how much I've transformed into an advocate of the Houston Texans. I mean, I've covering them from when Deshaun was on top of the world, covering them when Deshaun was playing scout team safety, just seeing how everything was transpiring during that time, to see Cal McNair after losing his dad, to see Callahan take that moment, take the franchise, and for about the past 4 seasons now for you, like do things slowly to get this franchise back to a place where they are respectable around the NFL. If you guys remember, at one point, anytime the Houston Texans were mentioned on First Take on ESPN, it wasn't a good look for the Texans. And now when they are mentioned on First Take or ESPN or wherever you get your podcast, get your information that's not the Locked On Texans podcast, and you should make sure that you get all of your information with the Locked On Network first, your team every day. Now it's in a good space, right? So when I see a list that doesn't have DeMeco Ryans listed in the top 10, guys, this is where I kind of transform into you guys. PFF put out the top 10 returning head coaches in the NFL. This was a couple of days ago per Dalton Wasserman. Number 1, Andy Reid. That's a given. Number 2, Sean Payton. Number 3, Sean McVay. Number 4, John Harbaugh. Number 5, Mike Tomlin. Number 6, Jim Harbaugh. Number 7, Kyle Shanahan. Number 8, Nick Sirianni coming off winning a Super Bowl. Number 9, Dan Campbell. Number 10, Kevin Stefanski. DeMeco, if you ever hear this, just know I'm fighting a good fight with you. So the list when I look at the list, I see a lot of legacy names. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I see names that are on this list created in 2025. This list is created in June of 2025. I see names on this list that are on this list because of their legacy. Now, Andy Reid, listen, I'm okay with Andy being number one. I think between Andy and McVay, like those guys, you're going to look at Andy and McVay and say, yeah, those are the top three guys in the NFL, coaching-wise. Number 5, Mike Tomlin. Legacy name. Legacy. Sean Payton, number 2, legacy. Number 10, Kevin Stefanski. I like Stefanski. I think that, the whole Deshaun thing really hurt his chances, but I like Coach Kevin a lot, so I'm not going to disrespect him. Do I think he's a better coach than DeMeco Ryans? I do look to head-to-head matchups, and I'm looking at Kevin, and I'm also looking at Jim Harbaugh. And I'm also looking at Mike Tomlin, for that matter. And I'm also looking at, did the Houston Texans beat the Broncos? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm looking at a couple of names here, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, DeMeco Ryans knocked those guys out. And for Coach Kevin and Coach Stefanski, and Coach Jim Harbaugh, he knocked them out in the playoffs in dominating fashion. And his defense got nasty on the field. So when I see lists and when I judge lists and I say, man, let's see if they're being fair or, am I being a homer? Because no matter what, and a lot of you guys know where my fandom lies, no matter what, when you cover a team for so long, you want to see them do good. You want to see them win it all. And I'm a believer of, creating relationships wherever I'm at. Those guys work hard. I want to see that vindication for them. So I look at everything that DeMeco Ryans had to do to get this team to be respectable in working with Nick Caserio in the front office and ownership and everything. But 2 seasons ago, before DeMeco Ryans was the Houston Texans head coach, everybody in the league that had a vacancy wanted him. Everybody in the league wanted him. Came here, turned it around, 20 wins in 2 seasons, 2 playoff dubs. And those 2 playoff dubs, I mean, back-to-back seasons, DeMeco Ryans coaching these guys up on the sideline, and they go out there and make the play. Like, we got NFL films for a reason. I just think it's negligent to leave DeMeco Ryans off of a top 10 returning head coach because this is 2025. This isn't the past 20 years. And if we look at the top 10 coaches in the NFL, DeMeco Ryans is a part of that bunch. Top 5 may be pushing it. Some people may be able to make that case. They're not 10 coaches in the league better than him. And the Chargers may have the best PR in the NFL. I mean, good Lord. I see quarterback lists with Herbert over CJ Stroud, and I think that's, I kind of think you can have that conversation, the argument. Justin Herbert has done more in the NFL, but they have very good PR. And I just saw DeMeco Ryans crush Jim Harbaugh in the playoffs and crush that offense. So, DeMeco, you are top 10 in my eyes. And once again, PFF, they know what to do. Shout out to those guys at PFF. They know how to create the conversations. And they do a very good job of that, man. Plus, they also do some great work. So make sure that you guys take time out to go check out PFF today. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Follow the Locked On Texans page at Locked On Texans. Subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. We got more Texans talk the next time I see you. So stay safe, stay close. Peace.